owns the detail and who owns the numbers in your business? Well, you do. And Roy and myself are going to have a quick conversation about that, but it's going to bring us into other different areas. Roy has also got a very successful podcast business that coaches and mentors people how to create a number one or not a top five podcast in the charts. So I would probably need to talk to him because we're not there. But Roy, welcome to the show. We'll start with yourself and how you got to where you were, and how you're here today with us. Congratulations on everything. Welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Gavin. I'm delighted to be here. I suppose, well, I'm from Cork originally, and hence why you said Coughlan, because it's even in County Cork they say Coughlan, the rest of Ireland they say Coughlan, but for some reason we say Coughlan. Don't know why, but grew up with the Coughlan. Studied construction economics and management in the then RTC,
Yeah.
and started working for Winthrop. Then I'd done another diploma in applied project management in UCC. Done a lot of sorts and stuff like that, different things, stimulation. Started doing a master's, realised after 2 years wasn't for me, but ran loads of jobs in Ireland for H.A. O'Neill's first, and worked all over Ireland, done a lot in Limerick for the Johnson Johnson job, and done some work in Dublin as well, and Dundalk, and then with Winthrop was mainly Cork based, and then about 19 years ago moved to Poland, done a lot of real estate. I set up a company because I met a Polish girl, and when I moved over here just to visit her parents, I saw, oh, property's cheap, so I bought a few apartments, and then what I did is I started getting investors, putting syndicates together, and and just not sure if the people here, but I'm getting feedback from the call
No,
here, and I'm hearing myself, yeah.
no,
But
no, no feedback.
I went and got a lot of Irish investors. So first of all, they wanted properties, so we bought properties, and then they wanted it. Will you fit it out? Will you renovate it? Oh yeah, we can do that. We can do that. Will it manage it? So we had a big business. I had about 14 people on the books. We had commercial property that we put together, and with that, I halved the expenses and doubled the income, and built 30 apartments, built houses, got wiped out, and then kind of learned a lot of lessons. Done, I had over 100 court cases, learned a lot from that, and
Wow.
kind of overcame a fear of public speaking and got into Toastmasters. Basically went all in, became a distinguished Toastmaster after 3 years, got into the final of 5 countries, and also did open TEDx, open comedy, and then got into podcasting during that journey. And I've done about 2,000 episodes. I have 6 podcasts, but I'm currently adding another 3 to that. So that's me in a nutshell.
The That has to be one of the biggest intros we've had.
You're probably saying, would you ever shut up?
Holy mutters. What the hell is going on in your life? Are you still married, by the way? Are you still living with Are you still got a partner? Oh my God. Oh my God. Where do we start? Um, First of all, for people that are international, H. O'Neill's Winthrop will be a very large, they'd be very large, Mechanelec, Irish owned originally businesses that have expanded. H. O'Neill's, I think, is a bigger part of a bigger group now. I believe it might be have a Texas involvement. I'm not sure. I think so. But Winthrop again, very big player, especially in the data centers as well. So you would have got great exposure in terms of large commercial operations. Um, as I said to you in the pre-chat chat, you know, a lot of this podcasting that we do will be towards the middle and the lower guy, the smaller guy. How do you think we can help them out in terms of giving them some information today in terms of, you know, reducing the risk within their business? And again, back to the numbers thing about owning the accountability for your numbers and stuff like that. Give us some sense of, you know, maybe some um, anecdotal stories of, you know, your own experience working with small contractors, and maybe how we can help these guys improve their own business by looking at the numbers.
So what most people do, as you mentioned at the start, they have a shoebox, they get the receipts and they put them in. The software you start using that will scan the receipts, and you can actually have and a lot of it will upload. So now I've got an Estonian company, invoices come in, I just send it off and the whole system's done automated, and it works out way cheaper and better. And when I was like, I had lots of companies, I've had about 20 companies, but I had one with the property, a Polish ones, but also an Irish one. And at one stage, my accountants were also auditors, and they said, "Yeah, you've a tax bill of this amount." And what I did is I read a book, Tax Magic. It was written by, I think it's Alan Moore or Alan Marr or something like that. He was with the revenue and wrote this book. And I went through it from start to finish and highlighted loads of stuff. And I went to him and I go, "Can I do this, and this?" Yes. And I got a tax rebate. And I kind of learned from that. Oh, I thought they were kind of trying to reduce my tax bill. And the same in Poland with all the different things. I've noticed that you assume they're going to reduce your tax bill. And most people think they've got your best interest at heart.
Yeah.
Nobody cares more about your money than yourself. So what I would
Yeah.
say is start systemizing. Usually my experience with working with a load of subcontractors, whether they're insulators, ducting contractors, plumbers, pipe fitters, they kind of brilliant on the tools, and they just throw all the receipts at the front of the truck and things like that, and they just get into the habit. Or if your partner is kind of organized, just have a system that daily, even have a folder that you're putting the things into, and even just take a picture and scan it and set it up. It might sound difficult, but once you start doing it or doing it on an Excel, and the same thing is like start talking to other contractors and say, what can I deduct? Like if you're using your house as your base, because most of them don't have an office as such, you can start deducting things from that. You can start deducting a percentage of your house, even the electricity and everything. Most people don't know that. I mean, they can buy the toys, the phone, and the computers, but do as much as you can, because
Mm.
why hand it over?
Yeah, no, I agree. It still baffles me today, Roy, how people don't do monthly management accounts internally. Um, and, I think there's still this sort of concept in people's heads that, oh, well, that's for the bigger guys. They would have a financial meeting and all this kind of stuff. And sure, I'm only small. Look, what have I got? A couple of B&Q receipts and the odd bit in the builders providers. And sure, I don't need that stuff. At the end of the day, I looked at that job. I guesstimated that there's probably 20 days work in that particular job, and have a decent enough margin on it. And then it's like, um, let's go for the lads, where there's no actual logic of a model of, here's what I am, here's what my cost base is, here's what my balance sheet should look like, and here's my net profit and gross profit. I don't see those conversations happening at the small, definitely in the small guy. It's kind of Monday to Friday mindset. Um, how would you work with somebody or advise somebody in that regard in terms of having a structure for financial accounting within the business?
It's not even just the accountant, like what you said, they're even pricing jobs. A lot of the time, that's what they're doing. They're making an assumption. Okay, I think this is, there's software systems that aren't that expensive that you can actually use. And I'm sure now you can put the drawings, or some of the contractors will actually give you the specification of the numbers because they've done it. And if they
Yeah.
say, look, there's X amount of pipe, whether it's insulation you're doing or what, and you'll price it. So you'd create like the labor element of a certain thing, and you just feed it into the computer. But you can do that with AI now.
Yeah.
And it might sound complicated, but there's people out there that will help you. I mean, I remember going to Birmingham doing a course on estimation. I priced a lot of jobs, and especially if it's your bread and butter. So you can't be making assumptions, because that's how
No.
people get wiped out. You can do 9 jobs and make
Yeah.
10% and price one wrong and get wiped out. And nobody's going to go, oh, that was sorry about that. We'll actually give you the money. If you agree to a price, they'll hold you to it.
Yeah.
And the best way is just kind of figuring out. I think now with AI, because AI, the thing is, when I started understanding AI first, I was like asking about myself and different things. And I said, this is no good. And I've realized then, the more detailed you give the question, the better.
Yeah.
You can upload stuff and
Yeah.
say, I need to price this. This is my and then if you get one, it has the information. It's like an AI agent that you're building
Yeah.
it for you.
Yeah.
And don't think you need to be technical for that, because you can use a computer. You probably have to type in, to create invoices and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And what you do is just take a picture, upload it, and just say, give me the quantities if this contractor or subcontractor won't give it to you, and
Yeah.
it will give it to you. And you might know, what kind of prices you have for each one, and just get into little systems. Everything sounds hard, but if you break it down into little steps, and then if you make an error, just, okay, well, what did I do wrong on this job? Make note of it and just apply for the next time. But what I saw a lot of the time, people made mistakes, they done it again the next time, they done it the next time. What you have to do is, whether you have a book or put it on a computer, have some sort of system that every time something goes wrong, why did it go wrong? How can I prevent that from happening the next time? And
Yeah.
that way, you'll constantly be improving. Your margins will get better, and you won't be wasting
Yeah.
hard-earned cash.
Kind of a shameless plug, and I know I said we don't have sponsors, but we do. Promote a piece of software because it does make a difference to the smaller guy, and it actually speaks to what you just said. It's Mary, the producer. If you could put it in the show notes, they'll get a discount. It's Live Switch. It's an American AI tool that was introduced to us because we had a guy on the podcast, and I was like, no, that can't be right. So he said, right, come off the podcast, I'll show you. So basically, you can dial from wherever you are in the world into somebody's phone, and then their phone can go around the project, whether it's in a room or whether it's a green field or whatever else. And you just keep talking to the phone and telling it exactly what you're going to do, and it can write up your whole contract, time and materials and labor, price the whole lot out, do your meta statements, risk assessments, do your contract, and have everything wrapped up. And the pricing is within $100 of accuracy, or €100 of accuracy, or whatever that currency is of yours. Again, back to what you said about, good information in will result in good information coming out of it. And within 5 minutes, the whole lot was done. Boom, 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 done. I looked at him, Jesus Christ, that's going to be like, think about the amount of things that get excluded from that. So you don't have to send out a lot of guys out to site so they can all start talking about how they're going to price the job. The customer can actually, you can go directly to the customer, and the customer can open their phone and can have this conversation. And in fairness to this guy, it's his own software. This is not something he's imported. And they used it with the 911 call in America, where if there was a 911 call, as soon as the phone connected, he was able to be, the whole situational process was being recorded and downloaded and data logged. But the guy had an interest in construction, so he sold that to the American police, and then he set it up in construction. And it's just like, oh my God, game changer. And as well as that, not just that software, but I've seen AI being used that if you have a friend, for example, in construction, and maybe they're a bit more advanced, you could take their templates, take a picture of it, and then get AI just to replicate that and put your own logos on it and sort of, copy that model, rather than trying to have to sort of make it up yourself. It's kind of like, if you're not there, you're going to get left behind, isn't it? It's a bit like the internet back in the day.
Yeah, and the thing is, sometimes you're paying for like the good ones, but take into account the amount of time that you waste and petrol going, pricing.
Yeah.
You're better off, doing what you're good at. And just on any of the software I've seen, the main thing is kind of that you're giving it the right information, but read everything, because sometimes
Yeah.
it can make errors. I'm not sure about that software because I'm not familiar with, but my
Yeah.
experience is, then you look at it, you tweak it, and then
Yeah.
you get the right thing. You can't just kind of do something and off it goes and it's
Yeah.
grand. But like with contracts and things like that, because especially like if you're the small boy and you're dealing with the big contractors, a
Yeah.
lot of them, they're out to get you. And it can even, if you scan the contract, it can tell you what things to watch for. And
Yeah.
don't think that it's black and white, that they'll only sign it. That if you go back to them, especially if you're the cheapest, and you say, hey, I don't
Yeah.
agree to this, this, and this,
Yeah.
then like said, like retention and things like that. I know some of the small boys, the retention could kill them, and you don't need to do it.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. Like, what we learned, Roy, was we've called it the 80-20 rule, where 80% of the information that we got back from AI, we take it. That's 80% is pretty much good, but there's always a 20% that you need to tweak it and kind of go, okay, there's nuances here that are not. But again, it's language, isn't it? Like the more you feed it with your own interpretation and your own model and your own culture and your own way of talking, eventually it starts to understand that and go, oh, it can actually remember itself back, saying, oh well, Gavin, you've said you're never going to do these jobs again. What am I doing pricing this job? Isn't it true?
Absolutely. And there's another thing as well for all of the small contractors is because they all need to be marketing, and
Yeah.
even if they're kind of like a plumber going to locals, you can get it to do the graphics for you.
Yeah,
And it does a brilliant job. And once you
it
give
does.
it the
Yeah,
information, you can even upload your picture. Sometimes it gets very good, other times not really, but you don't even need your picture sometimes. So it can create fantastic information. If you find something that you go, wow, this is brilliant. So you can even go online and go, show me the best kind of marketing tools for whatever business it is.
yeah,
Feed that into it. Say, I want to have something like this with your details, your phone number, or website,
yeah,
emails, whatever, and
yeah,
it'll spit out something brilliant that you can either create cards like that or flyers
yeah.
or whatever you need to do. And you don't have to be paying somebody a couple of $100 or even thousands of bucks to be doing
Hundred
these things.
percent. 100%, or even get even if you get the first, even if you get your first set of figures, take a picture of it, put it into AI, and say, okay, give me a gross profit, net profit, and it'll start asking you questions. Then it'll start putting you back on the back foot and say, okay, you want gross profit and net profit. Do you want it this range? Do you want it that range? Do you want it exact? Do you want it to bear per materials, or you just want it on labor, or do you want it on both? It'll start, and then you know, as you feed the system, then all of a sudden, you don't need probably to like. I suppose the way I look at AI is people keep on thinking, okay, it's going to reduce jobs and people are going to lose their jobs. I kind of see it that it's going to make the lower level stuff become more efficient, and I see the middle level mediocrity stuff where somebody might be all right at their job but not great at their job. I think it'll improve those people onto the next level that'll make them better. But I think the A players, the people that are always on top of their game, there'll always be a place for them. I suppose, especially in construction, anyway, in terms of people that are on hands-on tools. But I just see it as an efficiency model rather than a replacement model. I don't know what your thoughts are in that regard.
Well, I can see it being used as an advantage, but it scares me because you can see it now in the shops. It's like self-checkout. I've asked them a few times, when's the Christmas party since I'm working here, and they just look at me stupid. Like, but the thing is, they're working on trucks, the taxis. You see it, there's millions. If we're talking about the States, like millions and millions of jobs, and where are these people going? So there's going to be a lot of jobs lost. That scares
Yeah,
me.
it
But
could
if we
be.
look at health, I'd rather feed the information, and it's searching everything to give you,
Yeah,
remedies for your ailment, as
yeah,
opposed to a doctor might be having an off day, or there's different levels of doctors as well. So for
yeah.
things like that, it can be brilliant. So there's pros and cons.
There's pros and cons. Spin me in a different direction. What the hell are you doing with a load of podcasts now? You were in construction. Now you're teaching people how to create a brilliant podcast, and you've got 6 or 7 top 5 podcasts that you've created yourselves. Talk to me about the ones that you've created and why you created those podcasts. Like, what was your central theme of interest to do things like that?
So I had mentioned that I was extremely shy, and I tell you how shy I was.
Are
Like
you?
when I was
Yeah, I
18,
can.
I wouldn't go to the bar. I'd give my friend the money when it was my round. And even when I was running big jobs in Johnson & Johnson for Vistacon in Limerick,
Yeah,
there'd be 20
Vestacon.
people there, the client and everything, and my voice just go. I just hated it. It was like, and
Yeah,
when I went through kind of losing everything, which I mentioned at the start,
yeah,
when I cleared the desks, I went to an event and it was like, what's your quest? And I said, okay, I need to expose that. But there was brilliant speakers. And I
yeah,
said, okay, I need to learn how to speak. Went back, went to Toastmasters. I basically said I had to get my friends to hold my hands to bring me. And I said, this is great. And they said, we don't have time. And I was too shy to go back. And what I did is a new club opened, and I joined that, and then just went all in, and that's where I kind of got, became distinguished Toastmaster and all that. And during that time, I went to another event, and there was a guy teaching how to do a podcast, and I said, "Oh, that's a good way for me to get my message out." And it was
Yeah.
always about kind of exposing corruption and stuff. But I said I need to learn my trade first, so I did
Yeah.
the speaking podcast first. That was 8 years ago, and because I got into the final, if I've gone to, I knew loads of people that were speakers, so I had a
Yeah.
load of people that would come on, and then just kind of built it from there. Meditation one, I done. I learned Polish. I have a crypto one, and the last one that I'm doing is the Podfather, which is basically helping podcasters. So I'm giving all tips and tricks to podcasters to get them to stay in the game, because some people, they do 3 episodes and they're gone, or 10. And then I became a coach.
Yeah.
And how the coaching came about, it wasn't a plan. It was I was doing events for Toastmasters, and it could be a kind of a country event, and I'd be doing a workshop, and I helped loads of people. Then people were reaching out to me, and I was helping them. And eventually I was like, they're not even buying me a pint or taking me for dinner or something like that. And it's not like that you talk to somebody for an hour, and not to do it right. You need about 5 to 10 hours to. So next person that reached out, I says, yeah, I've a course, or I'm coaching. And they said, yeah, grand, I'm interested. And I just kind of went from there. So I kind of help new people starting, or existing people up their game, or people wanting to do a tour. But I thoroughly love it, because it's when I'm interviewing people, I'm learning so much, whether it's
Yeah.
on health or different things. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. It doesn't mean that if somebody says something that's gospel, but
Yeah.
it can kind of make you go, get the creative juices flowing. Then I go in and get books and start delve further. And even from that, because I mentioned I had a lot of court cases, I was like, how are they all doing this to me? And I started getting into sovereignty, common law, natural law. And I read over 20 books and that, done courses, and I realized the power that I have, and the power that they don't have, that they think they do. And that's something that will help all contractors to understand that as well.
Wow. I love the Podfather, by the way. I think it's a brilliant name, especially if you're sort of helping people with podcasting. In the pre-chat we spoke about, and I don't understand why people don't use podcasting more for their brand, in terms of marketing their brand. And we've had a good few people on from the States, and we do have a really big audience from the States on the podcast here. And they do a really good job. They're much more advanced in terms of podcasts, and they're much more down the road in terms of the maturity of podcasts. And I think in Ireland, where we are, I don't know, are you in Poland now, or are you in Ireland? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm in Poland. Yeah, I'm
You're in
19
Poland.
years there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's still in Poland, yeah. But like in Ireland, it's still hasn't caught up. It hasn't caught up to where. Like, I'm not saying from people listening, but I think from people producing podcasts. And of course, there's mad statistics, isn't there, of how many podcasts are released weekly, and then they just die a death, don't they? Just after a couple of weeks, it's like there's no legs in it at all. They kind of go, shit, I have to do this every week.
The thing is, because I have people reaching out to me, and they're like, oh, I have a database of 4 million podcasts. And they're liars, because there was 4 million podcasts, but active, when I was checking it was
Yeah.
like in 90 days, it was
Hundreds.
750.
Yeah.
It was like, internationally, it's less than 500,000 that have released something in 30 days or less. Because
Wow.
you can have seasoned ones, so there could be, so it was like 450 or 470, but you're
Yeah.
talking. So some people think, it's saturated. It's not. And
It's
like,
not.
if we look at Ireland, there's one I listen to, Blind Boy. I think he started in 2017. You're familiar with Blind Boy, the guy. He wears a bag. He does
Yeah.
audio only. And
Yeah.
the reason he does it is, he said he wants to go into Aldi or Lidl and nobody comes up to him, and he can kind of have his life. But he's got millions of downloads, so
Yeah.
he's kind of done well. And I know there's kind of shows that there's like podcast events. But if we
Yeah.
look at it, I do most of my marketing in the States, because they're listening to more podcasts. And
They do. Yeah.
if I look at stats, there's a tiny percentage from Ireland. But yeah, we need more people to be podcasting.
More active. Yeah, no, and in fairness, I have had a lot of people and like reaching out to me from Ireland and going like, "Thanks very much for setting up the construction podcast," because there isn't that many of them in Ireland. And this format, for whatever way it works, is a general chat between two people, and everybody else is eavesdropping into. Hopefully, they'll find a bit of nugget that might be able to help them out, and they get it for free. So edutainment, we call it, I suppose, and there's a place for it. And I think edutainment should be part of everybody's marketing toolkit, as opposed to looking at SEO and pumping a load of money into, as I call, the lottery, in terms of whether you're going to get onto the top ranking within Google and following these algorithms and all this kind of good stuff. Is there an art to getting you in terms of to the top in terms of podcasting, or is it just have a really good podcast, a good hook, and great guests?
There's about 20 things, maybe even more. And one is good sound. That's probably the most important. And then, if you're doing a video one, have good lighting, a good camera. Prepare well, the decent conversation. Because, like I always say, I'm a fly on the wall. I'm listening to a conversation, and you want it, but also include them, because sometimes people, the ego gets in the way, and they forget about the listeners. You're not like that. I knew that from the pre-call. It's all about, the small time boy that's kind of getting abused on the construction sites and stuff like that, and you're helping a lot of people. So the thing is, and this will depend on whatever a person's show is. Like, sometimes people say, oh, Facebook doesn't work. My Polish one, so I'm like the student for that. Between the audio and the video and the shots, I've over 4 million views, and I'm in about 50 Facebook groups. So I'm in foreigners in Much, foreigners in Warsaw, Polish in the UK, Polish in Ireland, Polish in Chicago. So you be in construction groups, whereas a lot of times people, they're promoting in podcasting groups.
Yes.
And that's basically like going to a doctor's convention and they're looking for a patient. It doesn't. So go where they are. And like this might help a lot of people, because some people have a YouTube channel. What I'm working on now, I'm like there's software, there's TubeBuddy and there's vidIQ that can kind of get you thumbnail and titles and keywords and things like that. It's AI, and sometimes I play with my own suggestions and it does better, but it does help. It gives you some good advice. But when you're in YouTube, instead of paying like Facebook and all these different things to do marketing, because they've all been caught for lying and cheating. So, as you say, you're throwing it at the wind. Yeah, you could be lucky, but you're competing. You're all racing, paying $5, and you might get a customer. It's okay if you're getting customers. But what you can do on your own stuff. So if you're recording, like say a contractor, what I would actually encourage people, have a slow camera that you're recording the stuff to speed it up, and you can put that on TikTok, or you can put it on, and you can actually monetize from that. Because that stuff they're doing anyway. People, for some reason, love that, and you can make a lot of money. But if you're putting recordings of videos, there's a thing called promote. It's not the ads, it's promote your own videos. And I started playing with that. I started doing about $3. And I was like, and I got 22 subscribers. So I was like, okay, this is good. And I started playing with it. And then I was getting the cost down to about 10 cents per subscriber. And I had an interview this week with a guy, and he's doing it. He's got it down to about 1 and 2 cents. So it's even cost. And not only have I done it where it's getting views and subscribers, but I've done one then with website. So you can create one that goes to your website. So if somebody, say, a plumber, whatever their trade is, they could be doing recordings of it or just talking about what they've got, talk about their tools. And then you can do a promotion on that, $40, something like that, but it goes to your website. And then you can just say, you're not going to be doing that international. If you're only in Cork or Dublin or wherever, you can just pick that and just market to that. That's money well spent, because it's like there's people out there that will say, I can get you 1,000 views, I can get you
1,000 followers, all that kind of stuff.
It's all bots. I've done it years ago. I destroyed a channel by doing that, because it's not real. Whereas when organic. You're doing this, you're doing it with YouTube on the thing, and and you'll see it growing, and you'll see it slowly going. So that's a good way to spend your money to get some customers.
Great point. Yeah, and it's targeted, Roy. So fair play to you for saying that. It's specific, and it's you're not throwing a fishing net out into the North Sea. You're actually just focusing in on specific target groups, your own persona that can actually resonate with your own business or resonate with your message. So thanks for sharing
that. If you know that, like 80% of your customers are over 40, just forget about the younger age. 18 to 24s. There was a time we'd be buying houses. Them days are gone. They're in their 40s now before they have a house. So you can even do that. So you're squeezing it, but they're the
Yeah.
right audience. There's no point in showing it to somebody that hasn't got the money or doesn't have a house and not going to buy it. You want to
Yeah.
find the customers, and you're able to do it, and it's very easy to use. Like, you don't need to be hiring people to do that. Just go in, and then you go in, you see the promotions, you see everything as it's working away. And if something's working, it ends. You just hit the button, promote again. You decide your budget, $10, $20, $40, and you
Yeah.
see it working, and you know if it's working because if it gives you results, and just play around with it, and that way, then you should be able to get some customers.
I'm just I'm just listening to you and going, oh my god, you're you're a mile a minute, aren't you? You're full of energy. Like, for a lad that wouldn't talk like 20 years ago, I tell you, you're
I've made
making up
up
for
for
it
it.
now. There's no off button on this guy now. You can't stop him. What part of Poland are you in, by the way?
I'm in a place called Łódź, which is about 100 kilometers south of Warsaw. It's right in the center, so it's the
Okay.
motorways bisect. So a lot of logistics companies in this area.
Okay, yeah, no. I was a regular visitor to Gdansk for a while, a beautiful city. If anyone gets a chance to look at it, or the um, historical elements of Poland in itself. It's a fascinating country. It's definitely, I'd love to go back and do some more touring around it. But you don't come back to Ireland, or do you travel still much in terms of
Not
your
much. I
business?
mean, yeah, no. I kind of spaced. I mean, most of my stuff is online now, so I
Okay.
stay here. But yeah, I mean, my mum is still in Cork. So.
Well, you haven't lost the Cork accent anyway. That's for sure. So let me get this straight. Are you doing any more work in property, or have you got any more properties? Did you go back into that market in terms of rental and building and renovating or any of that stuff? No.
I just dabbled a little bit, some
Yeah.
sites, and sold them on, and some offices, and a garage, converted them to offices.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the yields, and
Yeah.
it didn't make sense for me, so I was able to do better without doing it. So it's not that it's off the table,
Yeah.
because, and that, like, for example, I built like houses, and I still have all the information here. So
Yeah.
I've done the whole project. So if I ever decide I could build that again, because they were nice buildings,
Yeah.
I have the information. So perhaps, who knows?
Who knows? So your main business at the moment is you're really a sort of a guru on podcasting. Obviously with the coaching, you're setting up your own podcast, so you've got a good steady income. Probably, do you get sponsorship? Do you get sponsored for that stuff, or
A
do you
lot
get
of the
it?
stuff I'm kind of promoting myself, but I
Mm.
have ads as well, so dynamic ads, so I get paid for that. So by
Okay. So
yeah,
you make a business out of this.
yeah.
Wow.
And I've got a virtual assistance business as well, so that yeah.
This is fucking unreal. If you're watching this on YouTube, you wouldn't believe it. So go on, talk to me about the virtual assistance business.
So it's like we do websites, apps, and things like that.
Yeah.
And my partner, she's in Pakistan, so we have an
Yeah.
office there. Yeah, we're doing a lot of different stuff with that. So, like, the way that I do it is a lot is kind of podcasters, because we're able to take like the way I've do it myself. I do timestamps, and that's something for people as well. If you're doing a YouTube video, that when you put the time, then that comes at the end, so people can click on it, because they might be only interested in a certain thing. But
Yeah.
what they do is they grab that, create the short, then we post it on BitChute, YouTube, and Rumble, because most people are only familiar with YouTube, but I'm on BitChute. I mean, my Awakening has over 500,000 views on that. So sometimes people say, what's that? But why not be there? And then we can do websites. We do, complex websites and different things, but we tend to do packages as opposed to somebody wants you for an hour, because we can do small stuff as well.
Yeah.
And you're not watching over your shoulder, because my experience was like dealing with Fiverr and Upwork. You see the reviews, you look for someone good, and then you're going,
No.
and then with the Upwork, you're getting the screenshot, and it was like the first month, like, and then I'm looking at screenshots, and I'm going, yeah, I can see you've got my website open, but I don't see anything happening.
Yeah.
this way, it's in our interest to make sure that we're looking after the customers, because it's a long-term thing. And what they do then is they refer us, and we kind of have an affiliate system as well, that when they refer us, it's just kind of making sure that they're protected, and it's in our interest that their business grows. Whereas I think a lot of times when there's a VA and things like that, they're just trying to get the money out of you, get as much and then go on to the next person.
Okay. I wouldn't call myself an expert in Upwork, but I'd say we are touching 300 grand in terms of our overall investment in Upwork. In terms of, if people don't understand Upwork, it's a freelancer gig economy website where you could just go in and put up your project, and whether it's marketing, but predominantly it does be marketing, but it can be anything from academic research, SEO, it could be websites, it could be, as Roy said, a VA, whatever it is, and they all bid for it all around the world. Now you can do filters to narrow the search and stuff like that. And then what Roy is saying is you can do a timesheet model where you can make sure that you're managing that they're not over exceeding the times that they're on an hourly basis, or you can do a fixed base contract as well. He's absolutely right, from my experience, that we kissed a lot of frogs. And you look at like, oh, $5, geez, that's wow, yeah. But no, if it's too good to be true, it's generally too good to be true. So the flaw in Fiverr and all of these, from my opinion, is that there isn't this oversight sort of body that can, like, they do the best to try and sort of give you proper validations of their star systems and feedback and all that kind of stuff. But like, from your perspective, Roy, I definitely would agree that your model is a better model, that you're held accountable to for the quality and the performance of the delivery of the freelancers that you provide.
Yeah, and what I do is I give people my WhatsApp number, because there's nothing that happens where we go, this is what you want us to do, and we go into it. There's always a teething problems. There's always kind of learning, okay, this is the way I like to work and everything. And if there's an issue, they just write to me and I get it resolved straight away. And eventually everything churns away. So it's like, sometimes people expect, okay, I get it, I know what I'm doing. And people, like, sometimes people have like SOPs, they have loads of different things they want, and they expect you to just go in and get into their head. And it's just understanding it, but we're there to make sure that we provide the best service, and that we care about our customers. It's not just a case of let's grab their money and move on to the next, because that's something that I learned in Poland. Like in Ireland, like if I was working with you, we'd be planning to work with each other for 20 years. Whereas here, it was kind of, catch you and gone. And then they're looking for the next victim. And that seems to be the kind of market as well.
It is,
with people in Fiverr and Upwork and stuff like that. They're never in for the long haul. So we're there to kind of, 10 years later, we're still buddies kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, we eventually got to the stage where we found really trusted people, like Mary, the producer here, like, who's with us for nearly 10 years, I'd say, at this stage. And we really valued those particular people, and they're still paid through Upwork, because obviously there's rules there in terms of payments and stuff like that. But when you look at probably the loss of money we've had to try and find good people, we're probably on a negative in terms of that. So yeah, I totally get you're building an ecosystem of, well, okay, we're educating them how to do podcasts, we're educating them how to create a podcast, but then they don't have copy editors, they don't have people to do the shorts and the thumbnails and clip it up and all that kind of stuff. And they're probably asking you, well, where do we go for that? And then you were going to go, well, geez, I might as well, there's another business in this, because it is a natural sort of whole thing, isn't it? As long as you just,
it's like my property thing, it started off just doing sales, and then became renovation, then furniture fit out. And
hold on a minute, Roy, come back. He's gone again. No, 100%. And I think if you didn't do that, Roy,
I could help you with, actually, because as you were saying that, one thing that I've learned is, if somebody is a subcontractor and they're working with a big contractor, because you said you were working with that girl for 10 years, that tells me something. That's like, you go into the office when you're kind of delivering your tender or getting the information, and see what the people are like there. Are they happy? Because if they're miserable and they're treating their staff miserable, be careful, because
Hmm.
they won't care about you. Whereas if you go in there and you see a good atmosphere, people are friendly, there's a nice buzz there, it's a
Yeah,
good sign that the owner respects their employees. But when they do that, they respect subcontractors as well, because they're in for
yeah.
the long haul. So it's kind of few warning signs as well. If you see them treating their staff crap, be careful.
Do you know what I'm getting out of this podcast? And I don't think we've sort of nailed it with it, Roy, is that there's you're a classic example of, if people feel that they're caught up in the whole construction game and they just don't see another way other than construction, or they don't see that they can, uh, rise up and create another avenue for themselves in terms of where they want to go. Maybe they just fell into construction and they may fell out of love with construction, and just like, when I'm trapped, I'm in construction, I can't do anything else. You can still do a bit of construction, and you could do something like what you're doing as well. Like, when you talk about what you're doing, it definitely comes across. You're passionate about your subject, you love what you're doing. And I probably didn't get the same buzz when you were talking about construction, being honest with you. I don't think it's probably something that, gets you to jump out of bed in the morning. I probably did at one stage, but you definitely don't, I don't get it coming from the screen. Yeah, who knows? It's only a screen, but I definitely didn't get that sort of enthusiasm. But what I, what I'm trying to say, I suppose, in a roundabout way, is that if someone's listening and they think that, they want to change a career and stuff like that, you're a classic example of how you can do a full U-turn into a different direction. And with the determination and with a bit of smarts, you can actually create another steady income for yourself and a new career that you're getting a buzz out of.
And the thing is, some people think, yeah, but I studied to be, a plumber or whatever it is. The thing is, all businesses are people you're dealing
Mm,
with, whether it's your staff, whatever. And you can learn a skill. You can go on to Udemy, pay $10 to learn something. You can go away and do a weekend course, and you can do it on the side, and then start making money from it. And how, like, I've had a lot of businesses, and it's like when I'm kind of Sunday night going, oh Jesus, that's
yeah.
when I know it's time to get out. So if you've got that kind of like Sunday night, oh no, the
Yeah.
week is coming, that's
Yeah.
time to kind of start looking. Yeah, do I want this for the rest of my life? You should love what
Yeah.
you're doing,
You
and
should. You
when you
should.
enjoy it, then and you can do anything. I mean,
Yeah.
if I got into any business, I went away, I got a few books, started learning, or you can partner with somebody that has the skill set. You bring your
Yeah.
skill set, and you can do anything. Don't you're not a tree. You can move.
There's no limitations, yeah, and like, and if it's something like podcasting that you think, geez, I'd love to get involved with that, like, introduce it into your business as part of a medium to promote your business, and then learn from the likes of yourself or people like that, to sort of, you know, you're getting an education out of it for yourself, and you're still on the tools. And then at some stage, then if you wanted to go out on your own, like, you see so many podcasters as well, Roy, that are talking about a subject, but they might be knowledgeable to the subject, but they actually can't execute on any of the subjects that they're talking about. But they love podcasting, or they love, the whole marketing side of business. Like, you see them on Instagram and stuff like that. So yeah, they mightn't have an expertise in actually how to do what they're talking about, but they have an overall view. But they're brilliant in front of the camera, and they love this whole sort of, you know, it's not. I wouldn't say ego. Maybe it is ego in some cases, but I suppose the point is that, everyone's different, and I think the other part of yourself in your story was to be totally shy and not sort of one that wanted to face the camera, to actually turn a whole business into being in front of the camera. Fucking Jesus.
And
Huh?
like what you said there, because my crypto, I had read books on crypto, and I was baffled. I was like, I don't get this.
Yeah,
I went to Liechtenstein, and somebody was trying to get me to get Bitcoin in 2014, and they were trying to set up a wallet. I was like, yeah, nah, sorry, and what I did is I then brought on experts and started asking them questions. And
yeah,
I thought it'd be just beginners that would come in, but there was experienced people because of the questions. So don't think that you have to be the expert. If you have something that you're passionate about and want to learn about, people are happy to come in, tell you
yeah,
everything. And then because you're curious, you'll ask questions that most people will. And even I was shocked. Like there was experienced people going, I didn't know that. And they were writing to me kind of happy of my kind of train of thoughts during the show. So you can do
Yeah,
anything you want.
I love it. I love it. We're coming near the end of the show, so I want to hit you with some curveball questions, Roy. Knowing what you know now, what would you do different in life?
I'd slap myself when I was young to be shy, because what I've learned is even in business, like a lot of people working for corporations and things like that, it's the guy that's out there talking and everything. And usually the guys with their head down are the ones that do most of the work. Don't let that happen. Don't be shy.
Yeah,
This Toastmasters International is around the world, very cheap. Just do it. Just go away. And you'll actually meet very nice people as well, and you'll have fun. So I had a story. I'm shy. That's who I am. I changed the story. So you can do it as well.
love it. Favorite book? I'm looking forward to this one.
How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale
Influence people. Yeah,
Carnegie.
yeah. And your reason for that?
It's the one with the most highlighted stuff. But I read about 100 books. I'm just constantly learning, and it helps me then as well with the interviews. I'm just curious, or I ask people, because this is another thing for those that might start a podcast. I tell them, send me the book, and I read books that I would never have bought, and I go, wow, this is good. So
Yeah,
yeah, there's a load. I mean, I look at all different genres. Don't just stick.
yeah,
Before it used to be just business, but then think at different things. So if you're thinking getting into something, start buying a book, reading about it, and then
yeah.
learn from the people that are specialists in the field.
Love it. Favorite destination or go-to destination, and that Roy says to themselves, I need to get the hell out of Poland and go there, or it could be in Poland.
I used to always say Spain because I've been to Spain 20 or 30 times. I love different parts of Spain. Even 2 years ago there, my youngest son, he's 12. And when he was
Yeah,
10, I went to Alicante, went to Valencia, Barcelona, took him to a match. And I just love the culture there. But I've been to, I don't know, 40 odd countries. I think the main thing is when you're there, you feel safe,
yeah,
and the food is good, the people are good, that it's not a
yeah,
tourist area. So
yeah,
I don't think this is my place of where I live for the rest of my life. I'm planning to go somewhere with the sun next to a beach. When I'm near the beach and the sun is there, I get energy. So I've been to a
yeah.
lot of places, Costa Rica, and it's just, yeah, be the beach, by the beach is
Love
what feeds me.
it. Point of interest about you, Roy, that maybe the listeners or the viewers wouldn't associate with you.
I I suppose.
Here we
I
go.
did, no, I did kung fu for about 8 years. I did at one stage. I was doing kickboxing and boxing. So, and it's something that I've kind of taught myself, to be able to defend yourself and never use it, never bully, never. But that you're confident in yourself, and that's something that I'd encourage any parent get their children into something, because you learn respect as well.
Yeah, here. Right, I really enjoyed having you on as a guest on the Gaffer. I definitely have to come back because I think there's probably more podcasts in the podcast that we've just done. If people want to contact you, why would they contact you, and where would they contact you?
So it's my name, Roy Coughlan. That's COUGHLAN.com, and all my 6 podcasts and everything. Or if they're looking for virtual assistants, VA.world.
So, Roy, we'll put all those links into the show notes. So if you're listening or watching, definitely download it. Roy, we wish you the very best. It's been a very, very interesting story. And thanks very much for your time. And look, we'll be back to you again in the future for sure.
No, thanks very much. And what I would say to the listeners, because I know you're helping a lot of people, sometimes you just listen and move on. If there's Spotify, there's 3 dots, you go down, you can give a 5-star rating for him. And on iTunes, go down, 5-star rating, and give a nice comment. Or if it's on YouTube, give a thumbs up and a little comment, because what it does is it shares it to other people, and he deserves it because he cares about people.
Well done. Love it. Thanks very much, Roy. See you on the next. I'll see you. We'll probably bring you on the next show so you can do a promo for us. All the best. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye bye.